Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 92 of the Tiki Taka podcast. I'm your host, Peter, today joined by Cynthia,
Hello, everybody.
Patrick,
Hello, guys.
and Bruno making a short appearance.
Very short, but extremely sweet.
Terrible.
Not
Terrible.
for others.
Exactly, that's terrible.
I'm gonna make Peter squirm like a little girl.
Yeah, not really, though.
Why do you
Anyway,
got to bring the rapey vibes into that? Why'd you do that? Like,
I like it to keep it creepy.
yeah, really.
no
Like,
shit. No shit. No shit. All right, which means we're gonna shuffle things around a little bit. We'll get right to the Benfica game, and then Porto, and then we'll move on to Sporting last. So, without any further ado, let me give you the Benfica lineup of this Benfica Setúbal game, where Benfica 1-2-1. Bruno Varela was in goal, André Almeida, Ruben Dias, Jardel, and Alex Grimaldo across the back, Zivkovic, Feza, and Pizzi in the midfield, Rafa, Jimenez, and Servi. Well, Bruno, you don't have any really special privileges because we're not going to get to you first. I'm still going to let Cynthia go first.
Fantastic.
can you actually go first, Peter? I told you.
You want me to go first? I'll go first. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you'll just... Okay. All right. So I thought, that the game started off, poorly, obviously conceding the goal, but then we just kept on, gaining momentum. We had several opportunities to score. Should have scored at least 2 goals in the first half, maybe even more, but, we just didn't capitalize on our opportunities. We ended up, we still had that goal, but with Jimenez on the 28th minute, but I felt that we should have gotten more. Anyway, go to halftime 1-1, and I feel, okay, we're just going to pile up the pressure. We're going to keep attacking Setúbal, and we're going to get away with an easy win because, we had them on the ropes for most of the first half. But that didn't happen. Benfica wasn't at all threatening, and Setúbal probably had the best chances of the second half. And, we left it up to luck, and we ended up getting lucky because the Wishly conceding that stupid penalty. That's...
Was it luckier, or were you able to get a Godinho in your pocket?
It was
I
luck.
don't think you're allowed to hug people in soccer. Can you stop it?
Oh, that's a hug?
It was more than a hug. It
I
was like
hugged-
one of your creepy man hugs.
I hug my mother-in-law more than that.
I highly doubt it. Do you make her fall down too? You know what? Don't answer. That's creeps.
You might not like the answer.
I don't want to answer that question.
No one wants you to answer that question. I retract the question.
But yeah, that's basically all I got for the game. Was that I thought that it was a really good first half after we conceded. I felt that we had them on the ropes for most of it. We got 1 goal, could have and should have gotten more. The second half was poor. We left it up to luck, but we ended up getting it. Cynthia, I don't know if you have a lot to add into this.
Not too much. No, it was. They did the score super early because it was like 2 minutes in, and then they didn't do the terrible time wasting where it's just blatant, but it was time wasting. They were lots of very slow, take our time. What are we going to do? And you see that with the small teams. Really, our Liga does this. So I did notice that. With the penalty, I saw lots of different images, and I think my favorite was that Porto and Sporting people on Twitter immediately started sharing the image of the after effect. So Salvio falling on his own. Yeah, I get it. Let's rewind that a little bit because you guys like to use the rewind button for whenever it suits your needs. Let's rewind it. It's a complete, like a hug from behind. He's got his shirt. He's pulling him around. Salvio thinks he can make it and he can't. So what do you want?
So he dives then.
It's not a dive.
In the end,
Oh,
yeah,
oh.
because he can't get to the ball in
Oh, he can't get to the ball. So he
good
takes 2
conditions.
steps.
No. Yeah,
He takes 2 steps. He's about to take a third, and then he dives.
No,
You're right.
he
I've
knows
never
he
seen
can't
any Porto player in the history of Porto ever do something like that. They would never. They are above such shit. Same with Sporting. I've never seen you guys ever do this type of thing. Someone grabs you, you can't finish your fucking thing, and then all of a sudden you lose your footing. Yeah, okay.
Probably very similar to what Ruben Diaz of Ruben Valtudo did.
Sid, I don't know why you're in love with Ruben Diaz. Stop it. You're a married man, Bruno.
I'm in love as much as with Ruben Diaz as you guys are with Felipe. So
maybe I do.
It's a fair exchange. I don't know how Ruben Diaz finishes this game, but I'll let Patrick. I'll let Patrick handle that one.
Smart man. He's a smart man.
Well,
come on, Patrick. We talked about this. Come on, buddy.
Well, we could skip straight to the penalty claims, and to be honest, I have to side with Bruno. I don't think Salvio, for example, there is contact when he gets grabbed in behind, but then there is some space between contact and the way he fell. To me, he executes that poorly and falls on the floor, but the referee buys it. And you compare that to what happened in the other box where Ruben Diaz grabs, I can't remember who the player was, but he puts his arm across and grabs the front of the Stillball player's shirt and actually brings him down, meanwhile also winning the ball. In my opinion, that if we're looking as a foul, in my opinion, that's more of a foul than the penalty that Salvio got. And in return, what the Stillball player got, I think he got a yellow card or something like that for diving. Or certainly a foul against. So yeah, I don't think it was a penalty on Salvio. Luis Felipe is silly enough to go and make the contact, but he releases Salvio quite early. Salvio takes one or two steps, and from then on, you can't claim he's brought me down, because it has to be something. Straight or pretty much straight away.
No, it's the same. It's the same thing. Hold on, it's the same thing as when you're in the middle of the field and somebody tugs at your jersey, but you keep on running and you lose your footing or something, or a player catches up to you. It's a foul because of the earlier incident didn't allow you to proceed with the play, and Salvio fell. He dove after he felt like he couldn't get to the ball on good conditions due to the guy literally putting his arm around him. I don't think anybody can dispute that he had his arm around him.
It's not for me, because I think what all Salvio did was, by taking one or two steps extra, all Salvio did to me is prove that he didn't have to go to the ground and he could have, continued with whatever he wanted.
Of course he could have, but the issue was that he wouldn't have been able to do what he wanted to do had he not been touched.
But
Peter, could you repeat that one more time? He what again? What did he do again?
I said it in the beginning that he dove.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
That's the point.
That was the word that I wanted to hear.
Still a penalty.
No, I don't think so.
It's still a penalty. It's the same thing when a guy goes running. Somebody's tugging at his jersey, and then the guy stops tugging the jersey, but the dude stops. It's still a foul because he tugged the jersey before he stopped.
I'm going to tell you this much.
Whatever.
I hope this weekend that happens to Porto. I want to see what your criteria is going to be.
By the way,
quero ver. Quero ver.
Josie's on the live chat, and he said that Porto got away with a PK call last season against Chaves on Flip. He jumped on a Chaves player neck when he was trying to settle the ball.
Like Fesa did? Or like Ruben Diaz? Tell me which one.
He's the Sporting. I'm just saying.
Can you ever just finish and tell people what they're asking you about the other ones and not bring Ruben Diaz into it? Do you see what you're doing?
No, if he wants
I'm going to go back.
Stomped a player and didn't get a red card, didn't get a yellow, and then we had the Sumarísimo, and what happens? He just get reprehended. Wow, that's amazing. That's brilliant.
Well, I mean, it's
literally stomped someone.
Also, I would just like to give you the actual wording because Peter screwed that up. Josie said the PK call was softer than hot baby diarrhea. So there you go.
That's not the first one. That's about the Benfica one. I'm talking about the.
It's fantastic.
Okay, I skipped that one because.
It's hilarious. You know what, Josie? I don't need to put up with your shit. My kiddo is still in diapers. Thank you very much. We're good here.
Well, I mean, the bottom line. Well, we have to start talking about Ruben Valtudo. Ruben Valtudo, how he ends this game without red carded is beyond me. That penalty in the 63rd minute, that is a penalty anywhere in the world. You're being grabbed 50-50, shoulder to shoulder. Then all of a sudden, Andre Pereira wins advantage, wins position. He gets grabbed. He gets pulled down. It's a penalty. That's a red card. He's not going to the Clásico. Same thing with Fesa. elbow to the neck.
Same thing with
That's a
Felipe,
yellow
same thing
card.
with
He's
Suarez.
not going to the
Going
Clásico.
to the Clásico.
Then there's Jardel. Smack to the face, grab of the neck,
You know what?
brings
Jardel-
down the guy,
Jardel-
yellow card.
Jardel-
Doesn't go to the Clásico.
Bruno, Jardel got yellow carded last week for a Rafinha dive. Rafinha
Taka.
dove. There's no contact there. He shouldn't even be in the discussion of the fourth yellow. But you know, Felipe shouldn't be playing in the Classic. Suarez shouldn't be
Why
playing
not?
in the Classic.
Why not? Why couldn't Felipe be in the Clásico? Tell me. Tell me.
Felipe made fouls off the ball that I saw. No Benfica thingy, whatever, because I don't follow those stupid
Olá.
pages.
I don't see Pedro Guerra. I don't see Rui Gosmes da Silva complain about it.
Do I think that
How are you inventing this stuff?
I'm not inventing.
You're inventing this stuff.
Inventing.
I'm not inventing.
I never even
You're
heard of it.
using
You're the
your
first guy that has even
criteria.
brought that up.
Who cares about what the others say, what the others think?
Because they're the
Why
biggest
are you
stunties of
so
them all.
I'm
angry?
giving you my 2 cents on the play of what I saw, and I saw Felipe more than once tug at a player's jersey or pull him down when they were trying to get.
Only you then. Okay, so hold on a second. Every tug of a jersey is now a yellow card, right?
Oh my God! When the guy's trying to get unmarked and it's a through ball, it's a yellow card. Yes, sir.
Okay, so then you just admitted that's a penalty on Ruben Diaz.
Oh my
The
God!
way you're describing is the play of Ruben Diaz, caralho.
Both players are grabbing each other.
Qual? Grabbing each other? Qual que, pá?
The grabbing is mutual. The
Nah,
grabbing,
foda-se.
the grabbing is mutual.
I wouldn't say so either. I think that if Salvio's a penalty, then the stall ball one is definitely a penalty as well.
Definitely. I mean, without
It's more of
question.
a penalty than Salvio's.
Okay,
Exactamente.
but it goes back to the point that I was making earlier that Edinho actually said quite well, is that why is everybody harping on Luis Felipe when I had a blatant goal scoring opportunity and skied my opportunity?
I'm sorry, who was this?
Edinho, I don't give a fuck.
O Edinho, o lampião de Setúbal.
Who gives a shit? Who gives
O
a shit?
lampião de Setúbal.
Who gives a shit? He's right. Just because
What do you mean he's right?
Doesn't
I can easily sit here and say,
Brun,
Peter.
hold on, Brun. Let's say that Porto have 3 balls where Varela isn't even in goal, and they sky every single one of them, and then Benfica gets a shady penalty at the end. What are you not going to say? Oh, we had 3 balls where Varela wasn't even in goal, and we failed to score. Are you not going to mention that? Are you not going to say that was a big part of it? I mean,
what I'm going to say is Edinho missed it on purpose because ele um lampião doente.
If you want to talk on purpose, please tell me how Aves are always going through on goal, and he looks back waiting for the Porto player to take the ball away from him.
Hey, the same Aves team. Hold on a second. Oh no, I'll go there. I'll go there with you because the same Aves team where the coaching staff at the Dragão was constantly in the rain, standing up and getting wet, but on a dry night at Stade de Luz, they were sitting down the whole time for 90 minutes, calm as hell, not making any instructions to the team.
And you're forgetting how difficult the game was for Benfica?
Qual dificuldade? We
grinded for the 2-0 win. We could have easily won 5-0, yeah, but we missed our chances. And on another day, if they bag one, we lose that game because they play that type of football.
So hold on a second. So you're saying that Porto didn't have enough opportunities in this game if they didn't miss all their chances? They didn't put 5-0 on them?
Do you think that I wasted my time paying attention?
Well, then you can't say that. If you haven't watched it, you cannot say that.
I was watching it. I just wasn't paying attention when Porto was attacking. Who gives a shit about Porto attacking? I was watching when Aves were in the attack, and they frustrated me as hell because they couldn't even make 2-yard passes.
Well, then if they can't make 2-yard passes, how do you expect them to win the game?
Because the issue was that they made too many mistakes up front to start. It makes so if you want to claim that Edinho, what I'm trying to say is that if you're trying to claim that Edinho missed on purpose, I can tell you that there's thousands of plays that we could analyze on the Aves Porto game where it feels like they could have been done on purpose. And I don't want to go there because I have to believe that the players, they
Aves tried. Aves tried. Remember, they just bought the old Benfica bus. Don't worry about it.
I don't understand your problem.
Don't worry about it. They have nice negotiations going on with Benfica. Don't worry about it. They did everything they could.
They did.
They just didn't have the talent.
Yeah, totally. That's why they only started creating danger when, like in the 90th minute, because he actually had to make a couple of good saves, making me wonder why they didn't.
Porto was trying to close out the game by then.
Well,
But
yeah.
we'll talk about the Porto game later. Let's still talk about this game because I know you're trying to get away from that.
I'm not
I know
trying
you
to
don't
get
want to
away
really
from
talk about.
I'm just.
We
I'm
got to
just
talk
saying,
about. We got to talk about how Stubble somehow sees a penalty in the 92nd minute. But we have to talk about this Luis Godinho referee because remember, this season he has only called penalties for one club, only one, the Benfica.
Congratulations.
Quando el Sporting, he doesn't see it.
Do you want him
If
to
you
make
look
up
at his track
penalties
Do you
record,
want
for you?
exactly? Do
Hold
you
on a
want him
second.
to make up penalties when there
No,
aren't?
but are there
what do you mean
actual
there's not?
penalties?
What do you mean there's not? What do you mean there's not?
I'm just saying that
Bruno, I'm asking
easily,
legit.
it
If
could
there
easily
are no
happen.
penalties in a game, do you want him to make it up just so that he's got the numbers that you want him
No,
to have?
no. But that's the difference. The difference is that there are penalties for him to call, and he refused to call them. But when he,
Then
but
the
it's
Liga should
Porto and
step in.
Sporting.
O que que eu vou fazer
That's
aqui? The Liga needs to step in, doesn't it? Or we need
Yes.
new refs. We've said
And
this
thank you.
forever.
Thank you for finally saying what I've been saying for the last couple of months.
Finally?
Yes,
Oh,
finally,
jackass,
yes.
you just can't hear me. Get your head out of your butt. You'd hear me. Jesus.
Hello, hello, are you there?
It's funny because Josie's already saying I can't wait to hear the justification for the penalty for Porto.
Well, here,
Oh, there
hey
will
Josie,
be,
because I don't have a
Josie.
lot of time, so I'll cut to the chase, Josie. Here's a difference. Ricardo comes from behind, steals the ball, and then the guy kicks him before there's any type of contact. End the story.
It's the ball.
You got kicked in the shins inside the penalty box. What do you
Doesn't he
want?
get the ball
You don't want a
first?
PK?
Doesn't he get the ball first?
Well, who gets the ball first?
I don't know. You tell me. You've got
Who gets
this
the
whole
ball
thing
first?
figured out.
Peter. Peter, who gets the ball first? Anda, responda. I can't hear you. What are you saying?
Oh, Bruno,
Yeah.
we missed you so much.
I did not at all. I could deal with this, without him.
Patrick,
Peter,
did you just
you
leave?
came out and you said that who got the ball first? The ops player has the ball at his feet. Ricardo comes from the side, doesn't expect him to come,
Doesn't he kick
and
the ball
steals the
first?
ball.
That's what I'm asking you. I'm asking you because I honestly don't remember if he kicked the ball first.
Ricardo is the one that takes the ball away.
But doesn't the guy kick the ball too? Doesn't the
Well, go kick the ball. The ball's going to the left, or he's going sideways. The ball's going sideways. He clips Ricardo. Once he finally realizes the ball's taken away, he kicks Ricardo, and he kicks him. He trips him. That's it. And by the way, let me also squash this.
Can't be. Okay.
Hold on, but kicks to the shin. Come on, Cynthia. That's
They
a
got
clear
shin guards,
penalty.
sweetheart. I can understand.
Oh,
a
so
kick to the
okay,
knee,
all
but you
right.
got shin guards, don't you?
All right, so
Come on, man.
anybody gets kicked in the shins from now on. Oh, they got shin guards, so no penalty. All right, I got that. Very good. I appreciate
Only
that
if it's
explanation.
Porto. Every other team gets.
Okay, pronto. Bye.
Josie now is saying like, so a tuck from behind is a foul on Salvio. And
If that's called a tuck,
a tug. A tug.
Tug. You whatever you want to call it. If that's a tug, oh my God! And then I don't. Then play basketball.
He did a big old bear hug, and y'all know it.
Yeah,
Come off it. It's just the images you were showing is the aftermath of him.
They only want to see him dive. They don't.
No. Dude, he holds on to him for 2 seconds and he lets him go right away. The guy just dives once he sees that he's not reaching the ball. He takes 2 steps forward. Come on, man. That's one of the most ridiculous penalties. By the way, Luis Godinho, he did not call a penalty last year on Andre, where the guy gets grabbed by his wrist and pulled down, and he doesn't call it. And it was by more than 2 seconds. So the criteria for Luis Godinho is not the same based on jersey colors.
We're never going to get past it if we always, we got to bring it from last season, from 3 seasons ago, because
the criteria, Cynthia, the criteria for this referee is not the same for every club.
But it should be, shouldn't it?
It should be, but it's not. He can. By the way, this guy is a guy.
The referee should also be the same.
Hold on a second. This is a guy that internationally has made it only officiating 2 games in the first division, and he's also part of the Padres.
Come on,
don't forget that.
This play is so ridiculous, man.
What do you mean so ridiculous? He's in the emails, buddy.
I'm just watching the play again, and I still think it's not a penalty. Man.
Oh, of course it's not for you. It's never a penalty. So listen again.
For you, it's never a penalty.
Peter, I'm gonna use that against you going forward. You get kicked in the shins. It's not a penalty. He's got shin guards. End the story. No vengas cá com essas merdas. Não quero ouvir.
Contact with the ball, I think it's a penalty for me.
It doesn't. Ricardo kicks the ball away.
Yeah, and then
there's a kick on his shins. Brings him down.
It's like a second late, which is
enough. He is. But if Felipe isn't there, he doesn't call this a penalty.
What are you talking about? Felipe and Ricardo get clash.
He doesn't.
Hold on. Felipe and Ricardo clash only after he gets kicked, and I have still photos of it if you need it.
At the same time. It's at the same time.
Not at the same time. Not at the same time. Stop lying like you did last week because I'm on the phone this time. I'm not going to let you lie to the fans like you did last week.
I'm free framing the
I love how you call them your fans. If you only saw what everyone's writing.
No, I said our fans. I said the fans.
Okay.
I said the fans.
I freeze frame. Oh, shit. I sent it to Cynthia. I meant to send it to the group. See, now you're making me do things. I freeze frame it. I stopped it. I froze it. And.
But now, is it different when Salvio is attacking and Avj was defending? Is it different criteria for you or no?
No, because once you lose the ball and Ricardo is going in a direction with the possession of the ball and you get brought down, you get kicked in the shins.
No, you didn't.
Regardless if you have shin guards or not, it's a penalty.
You didn't read the whole thing.
You with the shin guards. Come on.
Because Josie said, I would call the Porto PK more ridiculous. Av's defender was trying to clear the ball out.
Who's this?
And he says the Av's defender was trying to clear the ball. What's he supposed to do? He says the Av's player is trying to kick the ball. What is he supposed to do?
Okay, so this is a Sporting fan, right?
Yeah, it's Josie.
Okay, so let's ask Josie what he thought about that penalty that he got in the 97th minute this year against Feirense when the defender never saw Quatch come by, and then he kicks him in the leg.
And Porto.
No, because it's the same type of play.
All right.
It's the same type of play. Quatch comes from behind, steals the ball from the Feirense player in the 97th minute, and the player kicks Quatch in the leg, and they call it a PK, and they win the game. Does he not forget? Does he forget about that? It's the same type of play. So for Josie, he won 2 points because of the referee. That's what he's saying.
Freaking a ball in.
That's what he's saying.
Making me turn off ad block. It's ridiculous.
It does make you do that.
I'm checking the play again because I don't remember it to be like that. Honestly,
the kick. From what I can remember,
wasn't
the kick definitely comes in first.
The thigh? Was he not kicked in the thigh?
So now there's a difference if you get kicked in the thigh or kicked in the shin.
Yeah, because he basically stomped his
Okay, pronto. I'll remember that one too. I'll remember that. Eu tô contar isto tudo.
The thing is that I'm not allowed to have an opinion. Is that what
no, you're not actually.
Because I'm always wrong.
No, because your criteria is not the same. How could you say that?
Because the kick to the shin is a penalty, but a tug from behind is not a penalty. Pulling a shin isn't a penalty, but getting kicked in the shin is.
Listen, it depends. It depends how it's like pictured. For example, Ricardo got kicked in the shin and went down. To me, it made sense. But if you can prove that you can then run on and then decide, oh, hang on, let me get the penalty and I don't know, just fall to the ground, then it's the same thing as what Salvio did, for example, is the same thing to me. When players get like kicked or something and they fall down and then they like scramble and pick up the ball with their hands, it's essentially handball. I think if there was a game a few weeks ago, Crystal Palace
I hate that too.
against Liverpool, when Mane did that, he got taken down, which was a foul. But then he went and grabbed the ball with his hand, and then referee's like, "No, mate, it's a free kick to Crystal Palace now." I think to me,
Peter,
that's similar to what Salvio did. I think he took a dive and he shouldn't have. Got a penalty.
Patrick, could you do me a favor? Check the chat because Peter again likes to lie to the fans, and he posted a picture. He posted a picture where the frame wasn't correctly put. Okay. Right there in the frame that I put in, you can clearly see him getting kicked before Felipe and Ricardo collide. That's some new urban legend that these Benfica fans are trying to create.
There we go, Benfica fans. It's me. Stop.
No, it's not because you're not the only one that has said that. You are not the only one that has said that, Peter.
And there's two things. First of all, the contact is there, but the only thing that makes him foul is Felipe. And second of all, Josie wants you to answer, what could the average player have done differently?
He says stay on point. I'm not talking about Sporting. I'm talking about Porto. What's
Pues não interessa. Não interessa.
No, because this is what you do. You compare it to everything that's ever happened in the history of this type of call.
No. No, that's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm doing. It's because the similar play.
Tell him it is what he's doing and what he does.
No, I'm not. I'm going to tell you, Cynthia. This is what I want to. Let me tell you.
Yes.
The Ricardo comes from behind and steals the ball. Guach comes from behind and steals the ball. The defenders, both defenders, then notice that the ball was stolen and they kick the opposing player. Both are called penalties correctly. End of story.
Those plays are not at all similar.
How is that?
I don't know how you can say
that. He just told you that they're similar, Peter.
They're not in any way similar at all. At all.
Someone's lying here. Who's lying to me? Is it Bruno or is it Peter?
No. We all know who's the liar in the group here.
Are you really just gonna call one of us a liar?
No, well, there's only one here because last week I heard the show and I could not believe the amount of incorrect facts this guy spit out. It was unbelievable.
You are just so much fake news. It kills me. I swear.
Oh, this guy's worse than Fox News.
I sent the video. I sent the video on the thing. And there you say.
Okay, you guys with this messaging, how does that help our fans? These poor people listening. I'm so sorry, especially Josie right now. Josie, I don't know why you just we should have a call in.
Josie's gonna need to call in, but this time come with this fact. Don't know what these fake news BS that he's doing.
He knows we are right about Portugal. Portugal favorable call there. Shocker.
But hold on a second. He also doesn't mention that another similar play that was not called a PK was when it was Aves Porto.
And what is this? 1989? What year am I looking at?
No, this season when they kicked the Nilo,
which is not a penalty.
Of course not. Only you say that. Only if you really listen to the people that talk about that play, only Benfica fans are the only ones that say it's not a penalty.
I know, yeah. The Benfica say it's a penalty. You said it that. Oh, even Rui Gomes da Silva said it was. I don't care what Rui Gomes da Silva says. He could say.
Listen. Go ahead. I want to hear Patrick.
In that Ricardo play, the only thing Felipe does is deny Ricardo from flying 2 or 3 meters ahead. He's always going to go to the ground there. I think it's a penalty. Easy.
What about the Sporting play? Do you think that that's similar to the one that the one he's bringing up, the one that I showed in the?
No, I can see what he means. Obviously, it's that leg when that leg comes late, and in both cases, I'd agree it's a penalty. I think I can't see how this Ricardo one cannot be a penalty. I think the leg comes in way too late, and it's as fair as it comes. That's a foul anywhere else on the pitch. So.
Peter,
I don't think Felipe has anything to do with it or anything like that.
Peter, I have 2 words for you.
Go to the ground. That's it.
Peter, I have 2 words for you. Ready? Chupa nice. Patrick, the unbiased guy, and there it is. Manada.
The unbiased guy.
Chupa nice. Red velvet cuecas and all.
The red card. So bad luck to you too. There. That's all I'm gonna say.
We've missed you so much, Bruno.
I can hear it in your voice. Are you going to tell the fans how much you want to see me?
Josie says that he has the facts. You just refuse to acknowledge them. So
no. You're the one that refuses to see them. But it is what it is, Peter. I mean, I get it, and I have to cut this short, and then I can let you.
Really?
I can let you
talk about other things.
I'll talk. Porto scored 2 goals, and then they basically managed the rest of the game. If we could have scored many other goals, like Peter said. Peter said that Benfica could have beat Stool by 100-0. Porto could have scored a bunch of goals too. Hopefully, they're saving them for this weekend.
Of course they are.
No. I said hopefully.
We're not gonna
No
be,
es
Are you
certeza.
coming on the Classico
Like-
pod?
he is
We'll see.
40 minutes. That's what he's gonna try. I remember, bro. You're not getting away from that one. Not that I care, but you know,
Prepara-te, traz a vaselina.
bro. Whatever. I am more than ready.
Oh,
If you
my
think that
Lord.
you're gonna dissuade me from coming on my own podcast.
That's
I even make
hilarious.
Patrick laugh. You know how hard that is?
It's hard. He mutes
It's
it
hard
so
to
you
make
don't
Patrick
know.
laugh and Patrick
You know,
laughing.
Whatever. Just go ahead and take your leave of absence again, I guess.
Patrick,
Nobody likes
I
you.
have
Yeah.
to go now. Please tame this boy.
Oh my god. You're unbelievable.
And please call him out on his
By the way,
BS
by the
because
way,
those facts
you
that he
stop
spits out
calling
is
me-
ridiculous.
You stop calling me a liar because I can be wrong, but I'm never wrong on purpose. So
No,
don't call me a liar.
I'm going to tell you, last week you said it with conviction that Sporting started the whole trouble with Braga. And you can
That's
listen back to
okay.
the podcast.
And I'm going to apologize for that. Because
Thank you very much. That's now I have to shake your hand. That's
You
very
know-
nice of you.
And
Wash it
also,
before the
by
Vaseline.
way, I didn't know, and I think that I said that Daniel got hurt because of being subbed on. I was wrong about that apparently too because he got subbed off because he got hurt in training. So
Correct.
there you go. Like
Bruns, you're forgiven for that.
I'm never.
Thank you so much.
Like to give false information. So obviously, if I thought, at the moment I thought it was true.
You know what you did? Now hundreds of fans have to go back to their friends and have to apologize because they listened to Peter's incorrect information. And then now they have to
because I'm
apologize
pretty
to
sure-
their
I'm
other
pretty-
people that they had arguments with.
He's their first source of news. I need to apologize to fans if that's what that is. No. We are not your first source of news. Come off it.
Definitely not Peter and his facts.
Listen, whatever, man.
Fox News facts.
Can mine be alternative facts? That's what I want.
I applaud those two viewers, that are watching live now because they're
We have two live?
Yeah.
Hey.
Anyway, don't forget that the chat is always there. Bruno, next
Yeah.
week, I'm gonna let you go because I know you have to. So
Yeah, I have to run. It was fun.
For you.
I have no issues with it either.
Calling Peter on his BS is always
Okay.
fun.
I was gonna say, stop calling me a liar.
It's just his BS. That's all.
All right.
At least he comes back and he apologized. I give him a lot of respect for that because there's a lot of guys that wouldn't do that. Peter will, so kudos to him. But now we got to pick on a little bit of curly Sue over there.
Bring it on,
Oh.
crackhead.
Oh God.
Patrick, please keep these guys in check. Please.
I'll try.
He'll definitely try, which means no.
Patrick, I believe in you, buddy. I know you can handle this.
Shut up. Let's
I'll try not to
go.
let you down.
He just does it in his charming accent. You come on here and you're like, I'm from Jersey. We're angry.
Yeah. You got a point. You got a point.
That's my
Ladies and
Bruno
gentlemen that are
impression
listening, Curly Sue is so angry that she's not from Jersey. She just hates the fact not being from Jersey.
I'm
You
wicked
wish you
jealous.
could.
I'm wicked jealous.
I can tell. I can tell.
Unbelievable.
Please
All
don't
right.
tell the fans how much you want to see me pee either, because
Oh
that's
my-
got to
Oh my
stop.
lord.
Shut up, Bruno. Do you want me to eject you from the call? So you can go?
I would, yes. I vote yes. Oh my lord.
All right, everyone, enjoy your time. Patrick, don't let me down, buddy.
I promise.
All right, buddy. I'll see
Have
you
a
guys
good night.
soon.
Go away. Go away.
Go. Bye.
Don't kick me off.
We
I will
can't
kick
miss
you
you
off.
if you don't leave. Go away.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. Go do your shit, man. All right.
Is everybody okay?
Yeah.
Anybody broken?
Yeah.
What do we even do now? Like, it's so quiet.
No, we'll get back on track. It's he likes to just say, a couple of things, and I'm like, we can go both ways. Honestly, flip flopping between both games, I feel, obviously Ruben Diaz got away with more than one yellow card because at one point there was a play where he tugged somebody's jersey, I think, and I saw the referee running, and I was like, "That's it. He sent off. He's got a red card," and he ended up not doing it. And Feza got away with one, and so did Jardel. But in the same sense, there were several fouls. At least two that I saw when I was paying attention to flip. Off the ball fouls, which is something that is common and occurs, and and those could have been yellows, and he also got away with it. And Suarez literally stomped the player, no yellow, no red. I mean, some people could claim he's a red, some would claim he's a yellow. If it's a red, he misses that game too. So I felt that the officiating definitely gave both teams some leeway for them to not miss any players to the red card. That's just how I felt about both games. And honestly, that's just how I felt, And honestly, yeah, we had plays that should have been yellow cards, but so did they. And, we ended up both getting away with it. So, you can't really say that one got more benefited. Obviously, there's the penalty. To me, I have the opinion of, like, for example, there was this penalty before we move on to Sporting, because they're going to get to Sporting. But anyway, there was this penalty on Jonas where if he doesn't jump, he gets clipped by a player, and everybody's saying, "Oh, that's not a penalty. He jumped." And the only reason why he jumped was that so he wouldn't get clipped, and there was a penalty in the end, and that was against Passos. I know that caused some controversy. So it just depends on how you view it, really. But yeah. Patrick says it's not a penalty. Cynthia and I say it's a penalty.
It's just to me, it's just like, for example, when you look at the essence of some way in the history of football, what was classified as a foul and not, I think we have to protect that and take that on. And unfortunately, in modern day, I think somewhere that's been lost. You just need a contact now, and if it's a misplaced contact and nowhere near the ball, it equals a penalty. I don't like. I think sometimes, sure, if Salvio gets grabbed and he falls immediately into the box and all that, I don't think there's many complaints and you give it a penalty. But I think when you prove that you can carry on running or whatever, you have to package your call appropriately, and I don't think Salvio did that. I think Salvio proved that he could have carried on, and then he decided to dive. And to me, I just don't think the two add up, because I'm always thinking about the honesty in the game and what should, in theory, be classified as a foul and what shouldn't. And what Salvio proved to me is that he could have carried on running or whatever, irrespective of what Luis Felipe did a few moments before that, and then he took the dive. I just don't think one equals the other, and I don't think there should have been a penalty.
I just go on, Cynthia.
If he had gone down when he was being held, you'd think that would be a PK, or would you say that he would?
I'd have to accept that it is, even though, because that's what happens, unfortunately, nowadays in football. As I said, in the essence, like what is a foul? A foul is something that takes you out completely, and when you've got the ball at your feet. Imagine when you're like a young kid and you're playing with your mates outside your house or whatever, and you just got the ball at your feet, you're just running. Like me personally, I used to get kicked in the ankles and all that, but it's not stuff that I'm gonna go down for. I can stay on my feet, I can carry on running. Only when I actually get taken off my feet and whatever, that's to me, that's a foul. Obviously, as you get into football, it becomes a bit different. Like if someone clips your ankles and you can package that into falling onto the floor, then you can win yourself a foul. It happens tens of hundreds of times a week. So that's sort of acceptable, and that's where Salvio's penalty, in my opinion, would have fallen had he felt the grab from Luis Felipe and then fallen straight away. But unfortunately for him, in my eyes, he takes one or two steps further and then falls. And to me, it just looks like a messy attempt at asking for a penalty. And if I was a referee, I wouldn't give it to him.
Yeah.
But there's just one thing, and in your point of view, I won't disagree with it because it makes sense. But there's just one thing is that I feel that sometimes, and I'm not saying that Salvio is that type of player. I'm not saying that he's the naive type of player, but we've seen mostly younger players, especially like Gonçalo Guedes and stuff. When he was at Benfica, especially, sometimes he would get pulled by the jersey, but he kept going, and then he would like foul, or he would like make the pass and fail the pass. And just because his delivery wouldn't be the same because of the earlier contact. So that's just how I'm thinking. If Salvio felt like he wouldn't be able to deliver the ball as well as he wanted, would have not been touched.
Yeah, but that's. Do you understand what I mean by?
I do.
For example, if you're getting pulled back and you get dragged down, there's a difference between you being dragged down and then you choosing to fall down. That choice.
I know.
That choice has to be distinguished, and I think for me, it falls on the wrong side for Salvio, and I just don't think. Obviously, it can be cruel because you can be pulled back a bit and you lose your way a little bit, and then you don't get what you could have had, which, as you say, could have been a cross or whatever. But I think, especially the time that it was, like 92nd minute or whatever, it's 1-1.
Yeah, it was like 92.
To me, it's desperation. Salvio.
Obviously, at that
falls
exact
to the ground
time.
of desperation. I just don't think it's a penalty, really. I think the referee ended up buying it, and it was the wrong decision.
Did they VAR it?
They always VAR every single play, or supposedly.
But do they?
Do they? I don't know. But honestly, it's just how I see it. And there's that little, it's ambiguous because we don't really know what the player is thinking. Obviously, I could totally agree with Patrick, and I can agree with myself on my opinion. So it's like,
Obviously.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that if he didn't call it, I don't think it would have been the end of the world for me. Okay, so. But I'm glad he did.
I'm sure you are.
Bruno's gonna yell at you.
No, especially because that game was, and Benfica left it up to luck. We just left it up to luck because we had the game in control. The first half was really good. We had Stubble on the ropes, and we just weren't scoring. And I don't understand what happened in the second half that totally changed. And then Benfica created no chances in the second half. So
there's a lot of teams that end up doing that though, and obviously sometimes they don't get the result that they want, and that quickly turns into like a disappointing performance. It's difficult to take. Like, obviously not so much for me because Sporting are a little bit out of it, but if I'm a Porto fan, I'm twice as upset at what's happened with Benfica getting a win there. It's understandable in my opinion.
I couldn't tell.
I just think it falls for both teams.
Yeah,
in separate
sometimes,
games.
when you clock it up, but what to me, if we're going on a week by week basis, I think we have a call here, in which Benfica, to me, in my eyes, they clearly benefit, and instead of 1 point, they get an extra 2, the title race is really tight, so. It could be the telling difference come the end of it. We'll see, but
it's not the only call that has been made that has been
of course
awarded points, and like Porto's got them too. And I know Bruno doesn't want to say that because then he always throws out some other game from '92, but there are games even Sporting has them too.
Yeah, obviously, with especially the Coates streak and not getting a yellow for taking off his jersey, to me is one of the most.
Yeah, that happens.
And then Gelson tried, and then he got it.
It's such a crazy.
No, but
we should have played the race card on that one, Gelson.
Yeah, we have to keep our eyes on the present here, and that's what I'm trying to do, and that's why I'm flagging up this Benfica penalty here, because if we're going back to what happened in the past, we'll be here all night, So Yeah,
Yeah, we will.
That's why. That's why. At the end of the day, I think whoever wins the title every single year is just the most deserving team because we all get benefited at one point, but
well,
one team
And
stands out.
robbed.
that's a conversation for a different time
You
because
know, obviously
we,
you can say that, but look at Sporting. Before we move on, just look at Sporting and Benfica that year where we went 88 points and you guys went 80 points. The only difference was that we won at the Alvalade. Both teams got their fair share of calls. They both stayed tight, but in the game that mattered the most, Benfica ended up, getting the win.
I don't know.
It's just,
It requires a bit of patience analysing games very carefully to see like what kind of points were won that perhaps shouldn't have been won and all that. And obviously there's luck factored into it as well. Not always the best team wins.
Obviously,
the championship
but
and all that. Some people would have said Sporting were the best team on that year, but
I think they were too. But
it's all there's lots of factors that we have to look into. But anyway.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I don't know if you want to say anything about the Porto game, by the way, because we kind of we jump back and forth.
No, I think it was a pretty standard game. I think Porto were the better team all the way through, and they got their early goal, which was quite similar to like 2 weeks ago where they had lost, where they dropped points away, and then obviously they need a result to bounce back, and they got that. So an early goal always helps.
Oh yeah.
And they Porto took on from there and
doesn't always help.
Yeah, but on the day it was all right for them. So
it was all right. Well, let's move on then to Sporting because I want to talk about both games. And then get to the real.
Yeah. So
to the fun part.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll crack on then with the Atletico Madrid game where Sporting started with Patricio and Coentrão, Mateo Coates and Piccini along the back. A midfield three of William Battaglia and Bruno Fernandes. Brian Ruiz on the left instead of Acuna. That was one of the big changes. And Gelson Martins on the right. And Bas Dost was up front. And, Sporting conceded pretty much straight away in that game from a mistake from Coates. And that set the tone, I think, for the rest of the game. By the end of it, if we're looking at the difference between the two sides, I thought it was a well-contested game, but what swayed it in Atletico Madrid's way so comfortably, at least, were the mistakes. And each goal that Atletico Madrid scored was either from Coates' mistake or Mateo's, which I'm more annoyed at the Coates mistake than the Mateo one, but yeah, a mistake in that, and there could have been another one in the second half when Diego Costa tried to round it around Patricio and he couldn't score. That one again from a Coates mistake, and then obviously when you look at the other end, Sporting had their chances as well. Gelson had a good opening where he decided to try to open up his body. It works sometimes. Perhaps he could have taken it on his left, as others. Many people suggested at the time. Dost had one or two opportunities inside the box, and then obviously there was the chance that Freddie Montero skied right at the end, which would have been, at least an away goal. And tomorrow, Sporting are looking at perhaps with a 2-1 scoreline, Sporting would have been looking at something like a 1-0, job on Atletico Madrid, which certainly, for the mood at least would have been better. But I don't think it was a terrible performance. It's an annoying performance because obviously we were the creators of our own downfall by the end of it. But all hope is not lost that we can still do something in Lisbon. It will take a big job, but sometimes that's what European nights are for. In the second leg, so we'll hope. We'll hope something can happen. Hopefully, some players will come out with a point to prove, and who knows, get the job done. Hopefully.
I just want to say two things about this game. First of all, I tuned in 6 minutes in, and you guys were already losing, so I was like, "There's no point in watching this." The second,
Bit
the
harsh.
second, yeah, and the second
Yeah,
thing
how
was
rude.
that it won't let me. Cynthia won't let me lie. I was in a call with her. I don't remember what I was doing, and I started to laugh my ass off when Montero missed that opportunity.
It was bad. It
I was
bad.
like, how did he miss? I started
sure
laughing
if-
because I was
I
like,
think-
that's one fuck, and I was like, and
I think he catches it with his shin or something. I don't know. And like even Brian Ruiz couldn't believe it, and
that was
he's quite good at those.
that was a bad move. That was
If he's judging you, you know it's bad.
Yeah, it was bad, but sorry. No, sometimes that happens, man. That just
yeah,
hmm
you just I don't know what he was thinking. Obviously, like the time is ticking down, and he's got a chance to get a goal, and he's just. I think in his mind, he's just thinking, right, I'm just gonna absolutely make sure this one goes in, and he's absolutely put all his power behind it, but it's hit the wrong part. If it hits the wrong part of your body, which it looks to have hit his shin, that's the end result. It goes over. It's
Yeah.
there's a percentage in every tap in that will happen, and unfortunately, it happened on that night.
yeah. I just want to quickly, before we move on to the other game, or what Cynthia talking, I'm not sure if Cynthia watched the game, but I want to just quickly give a quick plug to Neil because Neil said he's going to be on Brian's pod. So it's tuning for the Benfiquista pod.
That's not all he said.
He said 6-0 for Benfica this Sunday with a double hat trick from Jonas.
Holy shit.
6-0 to Benfica. Jonas scores all 6. There you
Oh
go.
my
You heard it from Neil.
lord.
I wouldn't go with that.
And he also said that Montero is not as good as Freddie Adu. So there we go.
Oh, no, let's be serious here. Let's be serious. Isn't Freddie Adu selling Hoovers or something like that on Twitter or something? Last time I checked, that's what he was up to.
I thought he was the only thing that I remember of him was him like scoring a worldie with Benfica, and then I was like, "Oh, this dude's good," and then just like, never appeared anywhere.
Then he dropped off.
Yeah,
You ruined him. He was meant
We
to be the
always
next
do.
Pele before he arrived at Benfica.
Before we ruined him. You're right.
It's always our fault.
Culpa do Benfica.
Always.
Always. All right, Patrick. Yeah, on to your game against Passos. If Cynthia doesn't have anything to add.
Nope.
Yeah. So in this game, obviously, perhaps it's best if I intersect with what was said with the president and all that, and
Yeah,
obviously the mistakes that were made were highlighted in a Facebook post by the president, along with the miss and a couple of yellow cards that were picked up. And in retaliation, obviously, the players all thought it was wise to post a message, in support. So it was led by the captains, Rui Patricio, William, and then another 16 or 17 other players. And in response to that, Bruno Carvalho obviously
Shit the bed.
essentially said again through Facebook that these players, that they will be held responsible for their action. They will get some sort of punishment. Which at the time, it was being reported that it was going to be like an in-house club suspension. Which obviously would have meant that what a Sporting going to put out against Paços Ferreira at the weekend, probably youngsters and the B team and all that. So it's a tricky spot to find yourselves in, because obviously Paços Ferreira are a team that they want to get away from the bottom half of the table as soon as possible. So they're up for a game against Sporting, whenever at this stage. That they want to come in and win. And obviously, if you come in with this sort of preparation and perhaps with a weakened squad, it makes it difficult. I'll speak on what I think about the president and all that after. I'll just get into the game quickly. And Sporting ended up playing a strong team. Jesus, I wouldn't say defied the president, but I just think behind the scenes, some common sense was found, and Sporting's strongest team, bar one or two absences for Coentrão and William.
Patrick.
Yeah.
Just want to say one thing. I think he defied Bruno Carvalho, just on one thing. You notice a random start in there
A
by
random start.
someone in the midfield.
Could you
Vendel?
just say who it is?
Yep.
He had to start because of obviously, and to me, he starts because obviously William's injured. I think last week I think it was proven that Vendel perhaps should have started the Braga game, and Jesus throws him in there. I think he did well. I think he's starting to come into the fold. He's got good qualities. As I said last week, I think he's the player who matches the technical characteristics of William more than anyone else, and I'd like to think that's why Jesus called on him to step in rather than William. Obviously, William was carrying an injury before that. I don't think he was punished in any way because obviously, if we look back to the Atletico game where he was having a fantastic game, he obviously picked up an injury then, and that's when Sporting, I think, in the second half they shrinked a bit. In terms of competitiveness. So I did see some people saying that obviously Coentrão might be another story, I'm not sure, but then Coentrão's fitness isn't great either. But I did see some people try to say that William, obviously he's been left out because of what was going on, being the leader of the team and all that, and he was left out because of the clashes with the president and stuff like that. But I don't think that was the case. I really do think he's struggling for fitness at the moment, and that's why Vendel comes in. But anyway, Sporting lined up with Patricio and Ristovski in place of Pacini, who was also injured. Coates and Mattia were the two centre backs, with Acuna at left back. Midfield of Bataglia and Vendel, as we said. Bruno Fernandes just ahead. Brian Ruiz and Gelson on the flanks, and then Bastos in attack. And it was, I think it was a comfortable game from Sporting. We got the goal that we would have liked, and obviously, I think the players really, they felt some love from the stands, you know, and
Some
some
love. Understatement.
and they took that on a bit. It wasn't a classic Sporting, you know. The game did have its dead moments, but yeah, you know, the main players were playing well. Gelson, perhaps in my opinion, was one of the best on the pitch. Vendel, as I said, he looked neat and definitely has space to grow in the squad, and Sporting got the goals, and you know, comfortable win. Comfortable win by the end of it, winning 2-0. So yeah, what can I say other than I'm happy we won, and obviously Braga drew 2-2 at the weekend, so they've slowed down a bit.
With,
They're not breathing down our necks with Feirense.
It's a bit of a shady call on that game.
I didn't see it, but I'll take it anyway because, yeah.
This guy scored an onside goal that got ruled offside. I'm not really sure how that got ruled offside after VAR, which makes it even more insane. Honestly, if you haven't seen the play, you should totally check it out. It's ridiculous.
I'll be sure to check it out. But yeah, I did hear the complaints though that some people were saying that Braga were in a bit of trouble there, but you know, yeah, I'm obviously happy that Sporting got the win and moved away a bit from Braga. We just need to put this all behind us now, this situation that's going on behind the scenes, and focus on important games that we've Sporting still got. You know, chance of the title are slim. I'm only focusing really on Europa League, see what we can do tomorrow. Hopefully put in a big performance, and then next week against Porto in the Cup that's still alive. So you know, we need to finish the season off on a high, and we've taken a bad direction, obviously with all this, but you know, we'll try to push in the right direction in return.
All right, so I want to get started, you know, but just by saying two opinions, you know, one from a Sportingist and one from a Benfiquista, and there's the guys in the chat, and while Josie was asking if it's time to give Bruno Carvalho the boot because you guys haven't won a major trophy with him. They won the Taça and you won the Taça da Liga and the Supertaça. While meanwhile Neil said, the Benfiquista said that he thinks that Sporting would be worse without Bruno Carvalho, and he just needs somebody to
to
talk for him basically. And
the
while
spokesperson.
yeah, and while I agree with Neil, there's one major issue that I don't think we're highlighting, and is Bruno Carvalho is backing up on everything that he said. Yeah, sure, but he lost the locker room completely. Now, is it possible for him to get George Jesus back on his side first of all, and then get the players back on his side? Because JJ turned his back on him at the end of the on the press conference. I thought that it was quite clear.
No, I wouldn't say so.
Basically they don't agree though. And what he said, that Sporting are the players, they come and go.
Yeah, but Jesus has to say that. I think.
But I think he meant
has to say that.
But I think because he said it too was that he meant it. And it showed to the president that like the players make the club too. The players are important. And
I'd agree with that.
And if he backs out, he backed up. There's nobody getting suspended. I don't know if you saw that, but Sporting backed up on that. But my thing is, my question is, can Bruno Carvalho regain the trust of every single player? Especially because of what you said or what JJ said. He took a dig at Benfica, but I shrugged it off. But he was right, in the sense that he said we played against Athletic, we didn't play against Basileia, which is true. Didn't play Basel, right?
I like that a lot.
But it makes sense. Like, you didn't play Basel, so if you made mistakes against lesser opponents, it would be worse. But you made mistakes against players that are really good.
He would have had our guys hung.
Yeah, basically.
He would have had them crucified, for Christ's sake, if he was our guy.
Yeah. But so
a public hanging, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
the way he talks, Jesus.
Which makes sense for what Patrick was saying, was that the criticism was a bit, too much. Yeah.
It was a complete overreaction. And I know he's come out and said he was stressed from the baby coming and this and that. Here's an idea. Your mama, when you were young, said if you don't have anything nice to say, shut your fucking mouth. Maybe not in those words. So he needs to sit down and he needs to delete his account if he can't have a personal, private account. You know what I mean? Because he shouldn't be putting this out there. Good. Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to say, because I saw this a lot and people actually yelled it at me when I tried to talk to some Sporting fans. I don't think your players are God. I also don't think your fucking president is God. No one is above the emblem on the shirt. So don't get me wrong when I say he's overreacting. I'm not saying he's less than them, and he sure as shit isn't more than them. You know what I mean? Everybody has to be, you've got to be a united team. That's it.
I just think that this is something that was never, or that is something that is extremely uncommon in football and in Portugal too, was that we see, when Porto lose, what do we see? Newspaper covers of Pinto da Costa went to the locker room to talk to the players. When Benfica loses or is in a losing streak or something, Wichita went to the locker room to talk with the players. But you don't know what they said. You don't know what happens inside. So the thing is, Bruno Carvalho had, in his opinion, he had all the right to be upset and angry at the players' mistakes. So what? He's a man. He goes into the locker room and he tears them a new one there. And publicly, he says, "These are my players. This is my team. I helped the coach assemble them. We're going through with this. These are our guys." And that's what he does. Publicly, he backs them up. Indoors, that's another story. And that didn't happen.
And then saying the suspensions, I read up to 19, because I think it was 18 of the ones that were on the list of the letter, and then one extra one for funsies. Okay, so now you've come out and you've upped the ante saying you're going to suspend these guys. Then to me, how big of an idiot does he look when on Sunday they're not suspended? Because you know what? You can't suspend them. Then he goes, oh, it'll be something else, some sort of fine or some shit. Okay. And now today it comes out again that he's now no, we've retracted it all. Exactly. So do me a favor. When you get upset, shut your mouth. Stop being the Trump of the Portuguese Liga. We don't need it. There's enough Trump in the world. We don't need another one. Settle down. Take a breather. Go outside. Count backwards from 10. Give yourself a timeout. He's clearly a giant child. Jesus.
To me, the situation is if we're looking at Bruno Carvalho as a president and onto the competitive side of what sporting has become essentially since 2013. I think he's absolutely on the spot, and whoever says to me, I don't like this notion that if a president doesn't win a title within this time frame, he has to go. What matters
is still there.
Yeah, what matters most to me is that the president is taking the steps to put the team in an environment that they can challenge, and I think he's done that every single day of his sporting tenure. And this is, to me, the only time I've really felt upset and let down by what he's done is when he's gone and obviously created a situation which, to me, is something sacred. You know what goes on between an official or a manager or a player. I like that stuff to be kept in house. I don't like to see disputes being made public, and because this is what happens. If you come and approach me and say, "Oh, you were rubbish today," and all that, you got to clean your act up, otherwise you're never going to play for this club again. Don't get me wrong, I'll still be upset, and I think we still have to be careful with how we criticise people behind the scenes. But if you do that in public, you not only are you saying those things to me, which, to be honest, in his post, what he says is obvious stuff. Coates did make a mistake, and Montero did lack class, or Gelson did lack a bit of intelligence in finishing. But these are obvious things that I think you should just. It shouldn't be said.
And especially you're talking about
not in public.
That won you several games, and they won you points, and
yeah, exactly. Because on the night
they won the Euro. Some of them, come on.
On the night, Gelson had a great game still, and all of a sudden he's come into the firing line. Bastos has scored 37, 38 goals or whatever this season, and you come and criticise him for something petty like a yellow card. He's going to be suspended for the next game, obviously.
Yeah,
but these are
you didn't want to play it.
Yeah, but this is the point. These are mistakes that I don't think ever need to be told. They don't ever need to be said to a player, because immediately the player realises, for example, when Gelson took off his shirt or whatever, Jorge Jesus flicked him in the ear and that. But even then, he didn't need to say anything like that. I think he knows. The player knows he's made a massive mistake, and just by what the fans say and all that, I think that's enough punishment and a learning curve for the players. I don't like to see. I just don't like to see any be it manager, be it president. I don't like to see that being translated in that way, and given out to everyone, because this, and at the end of the day, this is ammunition for those that don't want sporting to succeed or whatever, and those that want to hijack the movement that Bruno Carvalho has packaged up until today. All of a sudden, what you'll see, and this happens at every single club, is that there are people within the hierarchy of every single club that have their eye on controlling the club, and that might not that might not be necessarily to make Sporting or Porto or Benfica win. That's just to be there and hold the power of the club and whatever benefits that has. And we saw that happen. Sporting saw that happen before Bruno Carvalho, and financially and competitively, that was awful for Sporting. It was the worst period that I've ever seen. Obviously, I'm pretty young, but it was the worst moment that I've seen ever, and that's also why I'm so upset. Is because by doing this, and obviously, maybe he did it out of impulse, and just he loves Facebook, he loves a rant and all that. Maybe he just exploded and did it. But it's upsetting to me because he hasn't gone and thought about how others might think, and then come back and quickly said, "I'm sorry." He's kept on digging and spamming the same button, and what that does, unfortunately, because there are some people that will, in return, forget everything that the president's done for the club and where the club finds itself now. What Bruno Guerrero does by spamming the same button and fueling this feud between him and the players and whoever supports them, he pushes the club away from himself, and who knows what happens if he goes? Who's going to take control of Sporting? What are their true intentions and all that? That's the disappointing thing, is that there could be a situation where he walks and we don't know where Sporting stand, and whether you like Bruno Carvalho or not, I think everyone would have to admit that aesthetically, as a club, Sporting are back. We've got valuable players. We're a tough team to beat. We compete respectfully with the best teams in the country and in Europe, and that's what you want from a club.
And even more than that, the modalidades are on fire. You guys
exactly.
have a great modalidade.
We've got a solid structure and all that. And to me, the best solution is to find some form of reconciliation. Obviously, I have to think of it as if it were myself. If I'm a Sporting player, and by the way, this is the problem. I don't know when Bruno Carvalho is going to be that guy and say, I'm sorry, I fucked up or something.
I don't think he's that type of person.
And I don't know if there's anyone like within his inner circle that will say, "Oh, come on, just do it," because I think the criticism that's leveled at Sporting and the hierarchy is that it's just one mindset, and it's the Bruno Carvalho mindset, and everyone around him are yes men essentially. I don't know that for sure.
Not just everyone around him, but it seems like 97% of your voters.
Yeah, essentially it shows that he's got the control of what happens, and there's no one to say, "Oh, that's a bad idea" or something like that. And I don't know whether we can find some form of reconciliation, because I said if I'm a player and I go through all this situation and I'm dragged through the mud publicly and all that, sure,
I'd be pissed.
Sure, the guy might come say sorry and all that, and whereas most of the players will accept it and move on because they weren't mentioned directly. Those that were like Coates and whatnot, I still think if that's me in their position, I still think I can accept it and perhaps even forget it for moments. But when the time comes and I have to judge that character again, like the president or whatever, and if any other small thing happens, because small things happen all the time, little disputes, or I want to move to this club or whatever, or I want more money on my contract or whatever, these things happen. It's just life. Whenever anything like that arises, memories always start come flooding back. So it is a tender situation. We have to manage it closely. But for me, without a doubt, the best solution is to find some sort of
compromise.
Compromise and get some apologies flowing and all that. Because I don't see, as I said, aesthetically, Sporting we're there. This is what I want from Sporting. I don't like to say, we have to be champions, because no club has the right to be champions. You have the only expectation that I can throw at Sporting is for them to challenge, and to a certain degree we've managed that. We had a poor season last year, but this year it's okay, and the first year under Jesus was really good, and the 2 seasons before that we made some positive strides and really bulked up our squad. I'm happy with the way it's gone on the pitch, and I'm confident that, obviously, had it not been for the last week, that we could have really carried on charging. I just hope that Sporting finds a way to put a lid on it right now and continue progressing. Otherwise, All the hard work that we've been putting in could be for nothing essentially if the club ends up going from Bruno Carvalho's hands into someone else that realistically shouldn't be in charge of a club like that.
He has also done things to burn your club though too, like all of all of the interactions he has with like other presidents doesn't end well. Spitting in the one guy's face allegedly.
Yeah,
but
but
really, come on.
I really don't.
Care?
To me, no, I don't care. It's you're spot on. I don't really care because what? No, you have to think like when I look at football in Portugal, it's not in the same way that I look at more professional leagues like the English league or the Bundesliga. Portuguese football it's a dirty game. It's like a lot of things. A lot of games are played behind the scenes.
Closed doors?
And there's a lot of links to this guy and that guy, and
You're sounding like Bruno.
Yeah, I might be, but it's true. It's true. That's the impression I get, and football isn't in Portugal. Unfortunately, isn't just the 90 minutes that you play on the pitch. There's so much talking that goes on around it, and to be honest, when Bruno Carvalho first stepped onto the scene, what attracted me most, and I think this resonates with most sporting fans. What attracted me most was I felt immediately that there was an energy behind this man, that he could actually, step on the scene and defend the club with his words, because that's what happens. Look at Porto. You have a guy like Pinto Costa, and he defends his club. He does it in his way. He's quite amusing in the way he talks to some, but that's what he's there. He's defending his club, and Benfica fans will find that Luis Vieira does the same to them. And I never really felt like the same energy was being propelled from Sporting side, and all of a sudden you have someone like Bruno Carvalho who essentially was very full on and aggressive, because we're not okay. It'd be nice to live in a world where football was just like 90 minutes and all that, and we can all be friends. But realistically, we know that
it's not like that.
Realistically, we know that everyone at Benfica and all the fans around it dislike Porto and dislike Sporting, and the same goes for each other corner that they happen to be in. We know that hatred is a strong word, but we know that dislike is there, and if that's the Portuguese game, then obviously you got to have the right tools for it. And I think a president like Bruno Carvalho, in my opinion, when he does all this stuff, like gets into public spats with this man and that man, that's just the rules of the game to me. So he can do that as much as he likes. In fact, let's compare the two situations. Like, if he spits in the, all right,
no one should spit.
No one should spit and all that, but if he doesn't get on with a guy like he didn't spit, but let's just let's say he spat or whatever. If he doesn't get on with the Oroca president or whatever, and then no, fair enough. He doesn't get on with the man. Aroca's got nothing to do with Sporting, and fine, you find an enemy there. But if you're coming in house and like you're creating enemies within your circle, which in this case would be the Sporting players, obviously that's where I have to draw a line and think, this is a wrong situation to be in. So to me, he can pick fights with everyone outside the club as much as he likes and all that. So I enjoy it sometimes. It's good fun to watch. That's what the Portuguese football is to me. Unfortunately, it was like this way before Bruno Carvalho was here, and it will be long after he leaves. So he's just following on the rules. A
respectful person who can sit down beside Pinto Costa, who can sit down beside the Oroca guy, whatever. Like I like them to be able to sit down.
See, the thing with, like, for example, Benfica, I think of the three big presidents, the Benfica one is obviously the most low key, but he can be loud when he wants. He has like stormed into studios and all that to chat this agenda and that. But obviously, it's not just the presidents, is it? We know that now that there are people that are around the club and like people that work on TV panels for match analysis and all that, and that goes for pretty much every club. And we know that these people are feeding sometimes wrong information or information that's meant to instigate war between these clubs, and that's just what happens, and that's always happened. Like the stuff like the cartilla and all that, none of that is new. That's always been around. That's why I say if that stuff is around now and will be forever, then why not have someone like Bruno Carvalho who will defend our corner and bat away all this nonsense and incendiary topics that fly about.
All right, man. I just think at the end of the year, we'll see how many of your boys want to go, because Bruno's kind of a crazy hothead. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we need. That's what I'm saying. We need. It has to be. They have to put a lid on it quite effectively to obviously avoid anything like that happening. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, there will be people that will be after. For example, Gelson. Gelson's a top winger. William is probably even without the infighting. William's probably at a stage where he's thinking about making the jump. And Rui Patricio again. I would like to see him stay forever, obviously, but if we're looking at him realistically as well, if he wants to ever make the jump, like the quality goalkeeper that he is, and if he wants to play in a better division, if he wants to play in a better division than Portugal's and find another spot to compete in, at the age of 29, 30.
He's retiring. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll never know. God. Well, they're well placed with Chesney anyway, but there are certain players that, excuse me, that even without the infighting, they're probably looking at a move anyway. But we don't know whether this situation might advance the thinking of certain players. And even before that, I think there's a bit of history there, obviously, because Adrian put some spiky comments up about being upset at the delay of his move to Leicester, and he obviously spoke about Bruno Carvalho wanting to keep him, and he delayed it and all that. But obviously, all these players are friends, so I wonder whether there was already something behind it. It wasn't just Bruno
a bit
Carvalho.
Of resentment, maybe, you think?
Yeah, there's probably the players were ready for something like this, and they jumped. Well,
because he cares about what color of cars they buy, right? Like, hasn't that?
Yeah,
but he's made comments. Like, come on.
That happens at certain clubs anyway. I mean, that happens.
That's stupid, but it's still stupid.
Yeah,
you see Benfica players wear blue cleats. You see them wear green cleats. You see them.
They don't care.
There's sporting players that wear blue boots as well and all that. It's all
no,
very
it's red. He has an issue with red. You know that.
Yeah, it's the issue is with red.
Yeah, but that sort of stuff happens. I think Tottenham were one of the major clubs that do that as well. I think Son had a red Ferrari or something like that, and he couldn't.
You think he ever bleeds?
Was it Son?
I wonder if he bleeds.
Yeah, well, Tottenham is the type of same kind of sporting, Sorry about that, Pat.
Josie's made a couple of comments here for you, buddy.
Yeah, but can I say it yet?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I didn't know that for some reason y'all couldn't hear me. I don't know what was happening. I had to go on my phone because I've been dying to ask Patrick a couple questions for like 10 minutes, which I didn't know. But anyway, because Patrick was talking now, and I was thinking, and he's right. We got to backtrack a little bit. First of all, how do you feel about the Sportingistas who refuse to admit that Bruno Carvalho was wrong? Because there's a lot of them that still don't understand what was wrong with the posts. So I want you to share your thoughts on that. And also, we saw already two people resigned from Sporting's the the thing is for Bruno Carvalho, Ricciardi, and somebody else. I don't remember who. And we also saw, what's his face, the president of the Assembleia Geral. What's his name? I forgot his name.
Jaime Marta Soares.
Yes, Jaime Marta Soares, which I think is one of the most level-headed men. Ask Bruno Carvalho for his resignment. Which the thing is. So both questions, what the Sporting fans, what do you think about the Sporting fans who refuse to understand what Bruno Carvalho did wrong? And the second one is, do you think, though, with all the climate, do you think that, like, at the end of the year, that there's going to be a need for some kind of election or something just to see where this is going? Because obviously he had the problem with the players, and now with all the people inside of Sporting thinking, hey, this guy's been a great president, but what he did was so out of line, so ridiculous to actively suspend players, because he did suspend 19 players, including Bas Dost, Gelson, Rui Patricio, Coates, Fábio Coentrão, William Carvalho, all those guys. So where do you think that there needs to be some kind of election at the end of the year, basically?
Well, going back to the first question, people have different opinions, and I at least I learned to respect them. Obviously, there are people that really, as I said, like me, like I really took to Bruno Carvalho, and perhaps there were some people at certain stages when he did something like in a dispute with the president from Morocco and all that, there was obviously some people that said, "How could you back this guy?" and all that, and they'd be thinking I'm crazy to do the same thing. I think we just all have different cutting points, really, and rightly so. Some of them are obviously because there's two sides to this as well. I'm on the player side. I don't think it should have happened, but the players come out and did something in public as well. It could have easily been something that they approached.
Can I just butt in for a second?
And probably kept the lid on it then. Yeah.
But they asked him to come and meet them, and that was the training that Steph says they did do. I don't really care if Sporting trains or not, but he says that he saw images. They did train. After the training was finished, they all waited somewhere for him, and he did not show up. And so that's when they got together and made the thing. Because you know what? It comes down to this type of person. Sometimes the only way they can hear you is when you blast at them their same in their way. So he blasts them on Facebook. Here's another message back, because you're not coming to see us face to face. You know what I mean? So I'm on the player side for that. Come on.
No, I agree. I agree that obviously, what if there's anyone wrong in this? Generally, it's the present, but still, I think sometimes you have to think of the situation you're creating as well. Obviously, no, the situation is already created, but it's what you put on top of it. Because obviously, by the players actually putting a statement, that was the stamp. There is a feud is happening. The house is on fire for sure.
Just the oven.
Yeah, but perhaps thinking again, the players could have grouped up in a different way and perhaps given it time or whatever, and try to converse with the president in a different manner, in a way that wouldn't put so much focus on the club. But that sort of thing happens, and obviously there are people that will look at that and will be upset that the players have done that, because there's also the players have also it happens. Teams can't win all the time, but when you're a Sporting fan and you haven't won the title for so long, your patience it's not really there for bad days, and sometimes certain players will feel it from the fans. And obviously when you compare the work, as I said, that was going on pre-2013 to the work that Bruno Carvalho has put in, I think a lot of fans have just genuinely got fully behind the president, and see the president, not just as a president, but as one of them. He's basically a fan in charge of the club, and he's fighting tooth and nail for the betterment of his team in what he believes would be the best way to go about it. So I can understand that there are pockets of fans that are still there, but the scenario of the fans being there is obviously that they take it into a dangerous situation where a players start getting start getting insulted or whatever, in the same way that Bruncarelli was insulted by a few on his way out to watch the game at the weekend. So it's a nasty split to have. It's a nasty situation to have, especially at this stage of the season. But about more on the situation at present. Obviously, Peter, well, you mentioned two guys had stepped down, and Jean-Marc Suarez has already called on for there to be elections, and there's no way back to handle the situation other than there to be elections. As I was saying to Cynthia, personally, I would like things to be resolved another way, and ideally, I can't look beyond Bruno Carvalho as president at the moment, especially when first face that pops up, and I'm already seeing Pedro Madeira Rodrigues and people of that ilk lining up to be president. And to me, that's just a no go. I'd rather not have a president at all, if that's the alternative. So yeah, there's that, and I think the situation's certainly serious, and I think some people are. Excuse me. I certainly think some people are. They're positioning themselves to jump ship and seek a new turn for the club. So for sure, I think Bruno Carvalho has a fight on his hands. But then again, I think with time, time will heal a lot, and even if it goes to elections, and as I said, with the so far with the alternatives that are being presented to succeed Bruno Carvalho, I'm not sure. Even if it goes to the elections, I'm not sure what the situation will be displacing Bruno Carvalho. But obviously, I think the big weakness, Bruno Carvalho's big weakness, is how he manages to patch up with the dressing room right now.
Yeah, that's the big issue.
But again, it's difficult for me to say right now. It's something we'll have to see with time. I think there'll certainly be some players there, one or two, that will perhaps be angling for a move. But players come and go, and I think depending on how Sporting can manage that situation and perhaps line up a refresh in the dressing room, and something that keeps Jorge Jesus happy as well. Because I think Jorge Jesus is ready to take on the challenge. I think he's had that experience before at Benfica, where players have come and gone.
I also think that he got to a point where JJ, I don't think he'll accept anymore stupid outbursts by Bruno Carvalho, and I do agree with you. But I think that I see this happening one way, and there's a lot of players that end up getting moved. But two more things that I have to ask you. One of them, he already deleted his Facebook before. Why didn't he learn his lesson then?
Some people are hard-headed.
Yeah, and the other thing is, how can you be mad at certain players? That supposedly had asked for moves before, that signed the petition. Listen, Benfica deals with it, Porto deals with it. There's several players that say, "Hey, I want to move." And what does Luís Vieira or Pinta Costa say? Hey, we already have X, Y, and Z lined up to move. You can't move this year. Next year, if there's a good offer, we'll let you go. What is wrong with that? What is the issue? What is, can't William say at the end of the year, hey, I want to leave? Or can't Rui Patricio say, hey, at the end of the year, I want to leave? Well, that doesn't affect their decision to sign a petition for him to not bash the players online.
Yeah, and this is why I say that I think this is the upsetting thing when obviously, he's obviously created a situation. The players have piled on top of it, and then he hasn't. He sort of fed off that and thought, you know what? I'm giving more to you, and he sort of outed. And really, us on the outside, we only got to think: who are the players that would want to leave Sporting for a better club? Who could leave for a better club? We add 1+1 and we figure out. Oh, it's probably William or Patricio or whatever. No, the more marketable players that Sporting has, and I think that's a dangerous thing to do because not only are we talking about key players for Sporting, which we need, like we need those players to be, mentally free and just out there doing their thing and able to lead the dressing room and whatnot. But also, as you said, there are fans that do back the president, and that causes more friction there because all of a sudden certain fans are looking differently at certain players, and perhaps the situation, as you say, isn't as unusual as you think. Of course, William wouldn't be a good or ambitious player if he was thinking about playing for Sporting all his life. He's a quality player. Surely there is something in him, as you say, that thinks, I want to play for one of the top Premier League clubs or one of the top La Liga clubs or whatever. And that's dotted around every top club in Portugal. There's players like that in Porto and players like that at Benfica. But by the president outing these players, to me, the dangerous thing is that they've highlighted these situations, and it's made the players come across as like self-centered. They only care about themselves. They only want to impress and then move on and earn more money and all that. They don't really care about the badge that's on the front of the shirt and that old rhetoric. So it's back to the president not really knowing when to stop, and he has, unfortunately, for all the good things, and that I can tag along his name for all the good things that he has. He does have this tendency of going too far sometimes, and this is one of the situations where he's made a big mistake, and he's continued to back it with Facebook posts before the game and whatnot, and then he goes into a press conference and all that and reinforces his statements. And even his general use of Facebook, I think there's been on more than a few occasions this season where I think he's posted something up, and of course some fans don't like him generally, and they've said, "Oh, this is rubbish" or whatever, and he's gone into the comments section and argued with him. I mean, like, arguing in comment sections, this is stuff that, like, not even I do. Like, comment sections, like, you find this stuff on YouTube and all that, and like below videos and all that. You don't expect a president to actually be full on arguing
and
with
I don't
these
know,
guys.
and I don't know if you saw, but there were rumors. Nobody really knows, but there's supposedly an account or a phone number that has been going around the internet that is apparently Bruno Carvalho, and he replies to people on WhatsApp. He's been replying to people on WhatsApp. So just letting you know.
Like, what is happening?
Yeah, but I mean that's a bit different. I mean, obviously, if you find someone's phone number and you come into contact, that person.
But he replies. But the issue is that he replies. Okay?
Yeah, but the person on the other end might just be pretending to be.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
going to start messaging him.
Reportedly, I'm not saying it's.
Yeah, but it's that thing. I think that's the main issue with the Sporting president. He just needs to distinguish, and perhaps he needs to be more open to different ideas and formulate a team around him, and just be more willing to stop a bit. He's so full on. It's not even good for him because we know how crazy football drives people, and I'm honestly surprised that something more serious with the environment that football in Portugal finds itself in, with this team hating that team and that set of fans hating that person, I'm surprised and thankful that nothing like serious has happened, like someone's harmed another. So, by him calming down, he's doing not just the image of the club and his image a favour, but his well-being and whatnot. Sometimes you just need to know when to call a subject, and that's something he hasn't been great at lately, especially lately.
All right. Well, we need to wrap it up. We still got a couple of questions. We're 1 hour and 40 minutes in. Yeah, because Bruno Carvalho.
Bruno came back. Well, both Brunos actually.
And I wish we had more time to discuss Bruno Carvalho. So I hope he does something else that makes us come back to this, because it makes me sad that we couldn't get this from the get-go, because there's a lot to dissect here. So first of all, let me just start with a question on YouTube, which I think is kind of more of a joke. But Josie asked if you guys can trade Bruno Carvalho to Leicester for Adrian Silva and Slimani.
If I do that, no, they've gone now.
Took you a little bit of time to answer that.
Yeah, because I remembered that they obviously thought it'd be better for them to move to Leicester than stay at Sporting. So I'm a little bit salty at that, and I'll keep things as is. We've got Bruno Fernandes and Dost anyway, so
true. All right. So Josie also asked, and I'll direct this one for you, Cynthia. He said, "Are Benfica fans willing to allow years of time for Varela to develop, or should Benfica buy a veteran established goalie for the next season? What's the temperature in the club regarding the future? What is the temperature? What's the temperature in the room? What the hell? I don't get it.
Are you okay?
What's the temperature in the room regards to his future at the club? Shouldn't be regarding. Probably didn't have the
in regards. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna sit here and friggin' edit his shit. I will say I think it's about 50-50. There's some of us that are hoping that he does well and that he practices with Almeida, because Almeida, he seems to have been practicing more and he's getting better every game. So we just hope that for Varela too. I mean, the kid's 23, right?
Mm-hmm.
So personally, you guys know, I think it's a few pods back, I already said I want to be nice to him. I don't want to hate on him anymore. But there are some people who do hate on him, and I mean, he does make mistakes. Again, he's young, and we're coming from, Oblak and then Ederson and just, fantastic goalies all around. And so it's tough. So I would personally like for us to continue developing him, but yeah, maybe we could get a backup keeper. That'd be nice.
All right,
Because,
and Pete,
who's the other kid?
Pete commented on the thing, said that he's been well covered in recent weeks. Sunday will be a big test. That's why he's really improving. And then he says, personally, weeks way short of quality to me. And yeah, I agree. And Josie, no, we can't give time to Varela, because Varela is the same goalkeeper he was at the age of 18, still making the same mistakes. He's not quality for Benfica. He's probably a decent backup, but he's never going to be Benfica quality, and I don't want to waste possible titles, trying to groom a goalkeeper that might never grow to be something that he had the potential to be, basically. He's the same player he was at the age of 18, now at 23, so we shouldn't give him time to develop. We should get somebody 26, 27-year-old that we can rely on, especially if we end up losing the title. Everybody's going to remember that howler that he committed, against Boa Vista, that frango, that terrible frango that, Benfica could have probably won that game.
Patricio had a frango once too.
Patricio had a lot of frangos.
Exactly, there you go.
Titles.
Then calm down.
So you won from the mistakes. You won from your opponent's mistakes.
He did good last Clásico, because on Carey, she said that he was her man of the match. So I hope,
because
he's the man of the match.
Because Varela is one of those goalkeepers. If he gets a decent shot saved in the early goings, he plugs it for the rest of the game. But if he's only called up once or twice, he's bound to make a mistake. That's the type of goalkeeper he is. That's why he's good for the Stubbles and the Guimarães and the Bragas and those teams that get pressured a lot, but not Benfica. And I think that was it for questions, right? Because I don't see any more questions. I don't know if you saw any, Cynthia, that because you were talking about the questions.
Yeah, sorry, man.
I don't think so, right? I don't see anything else.
You said the one from Pete
And
the
Josie.
one from Josie.
That's it.
Oh, and Neil. Neil asked
Oh.
if Sporting was better off without BDC, or does he just require a media to speak on behalf of himself and the club?
Right, I think we pretty much covered that, but if you want to give a short answer, Patrick.
Yeah, I think we're better with BDC. Tone him down a little bit, but we're better off with him at the moment.
There's no one better. All right. So I want to, 1 hour and 45 minutes. That was probably one of the longest podcasts we've ever done.
I think we actually hit 2 hours once.
Probably. I want to thank Bruno for coming on, taking some time of his day that was important to him to come on the podcast, even if it was just to bash me, it's all right, whatever. Just don't call me a liar, because I never say things on purpose.
That's all he
to
did.
lie to
That's
people.
all he did.
I make my mistakes and I'll quickly clean them up.
Own up to them. Yep.
Yeah. Also, obviously, thank you, Cynthia, for coming on.
You're welcome.
Thank Patrick. Oh, wait. There's one thing we're missing. Predictions. Yes, exactly.
Shoot.
I was going to jump in and say that.
I remembered. So
tomorrow, Sporting play Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, Sporting Atletico Madrid, Patrick.
I'm going to say we're going to be nearly men, unfortunately. But I will remain a little bit positive and say we'll win 1-0. Not enough, but a win is a win anyway. So
wow.
I could smile a little bit.
I got 2-0 for Atletico.
What do you have?
2-0 for Atletico.
You guys are haters. I'm saying 3-0 for Sporting.
You're insane.
Ambitious.
Yeah, well, no one ever said otherwise.
I got to keep it real. I'm feeling 1-0. I can't let my emotions get in the way of my predictions.
You can keep it real all you like. I'm just going to say that for last week, I got Atletico 2-0 against Sporting, right? And so did Peter and Steve. And then Peter got the Stubble Benfica match, and then everything else was wrong. So you keep whatever you want to say, but that doesn't mean you're right.
You're welcome. I got it. I got it right. I told you it was gonna be 2-1.
Yeah, you did actually.
And actually, same scoreline, but obviously the home team wins 2-1
for Benfica Porto.
Yeah, 2-1 Benfica.
Patty, what do you got?
I'm going to go for 1-1.
Oh,
cheers.
God, I don't like you at all.
Losing.
Yeah.
That's fine.
He doesn't know what he wants. I'm saying 3-1 for Benfica.
I thought about that too, to be honest. But
sure you did.
Going with a more realistic one.
I am going with the realistic. I'm not saying 6-0. Which everyone needs to know. Neil said that.
Obviously. What was the
Belenenses host
game?
Sporting on Sunday.
Ooh,
I'm going 1-0 again.
For Sporting?
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't know. 2-0 Sporting. That's
I'm going 1-0 for Belenenses. And then Sporting and Porto play on Wednesday at 3:30, right before the pod. And that's for...
Yeah, I'm not sure how we're going to do that. That's scheduled.
It's going to be great.
I'm not sure how we're going to do it. But anyway, let's predict that one too. Why not? Patrick, you go first for the Sportingista.
That will be 3-1 Sporting. That's it.
Obviously, for you to go through.
Season around.
For you to go through, yeah. You don't have Andre Gomes on your team though to score a great goal. Anyway, sorry, shades of a couple of years back.
Yeah, what are you doing there, bud?
have Andre Gomes in our team to lose 3-0 to Roma.
It is what it is, man. It is what it is. It is what it is. I got 1-0 for Porto.
Hey, I'm taking it a 2-2 tie, and then they do penalties, right? Because I like watching that. So in penalties, I don't know. But I'm saying
no penalties. There's no.
Come
penalties.
on, what do we do? Just extra time forever?
Sporting needs to win 1-0
to Sporting.
Yeah.
All right.
The
Well, then
only
2-2
possible
I
tie.
lose
score
it,
line.
Well,
The only possible score line for penalties is a 1-0. That's the only possible.
no, I'm going 2-2.
Okay.
I feel it
2-2.
2-2. Yep.
All right. And Portugal's through on aggregate. All right.
I guess. I hope they lose to the. I was going to say the penis club.
Caldas the Rei.
Caldas.
Yeah, as if that team is gonna get smashed in the final. It's not gonna be
Whoa,
fun.
whoa! Don't be rude.
I'm
There's only
definitely
Cinderella
predicting.
stories.
I'm definitely predicting like 7-0 at the final. Whoever faces them, if they go through, that's all I'm
You're
saying.
such a meanie. Well, I hope you're wrong.
I hope I'm wrong too, but that's how I'm feeling it.
What does Bruno call it? Balls to the nose.
No, balls across the nose. That's how he says it. All right. Anyway, we're not sure how we're gonna do it next week, but keep an eye out on Twitter. We're gonna be live eventually, so just keep an eye out on Twitter.
Eventually.
So thank you, Cynthia, for coming on. Obviously, thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Bruno, that you're not here, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.